Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do another double page spread in my pandemic memory journal, and I'm starting off with this paper that has all the viruses on it. I had it sitting on my desk for a while and I just wanted to punch out all these little viruses. So I have a little half circle punch, and I'm just going ahead and punching. I have nothing in mind. All I wanted to do was just punch out some of these viruses. There were some viruses in the die cuts, but I'd used them up already, and I thought, well, why not make some elements out of the papers? And the funny thing is that there was more red than any of them, and the least was green, so it's like virus strains, you know, like there's more prevalent strains than others. So weird. I don't know if they meant that or not. That's just me being really, microbiology. There's the second page as well, and it has all these little quotes. And yes, I sat one night as my husband was watching his MasterChef, and I fussy cut that entire page. And so I have those elements all cut up sitting next to me. So after that, I thought I've got to make something using all these tiny little elements. I grabbed my square punch. This is a 1-inch square punch. And I thought I would go ahead and just punch out some squares to make like a look-through, see-through window onto the next double page spread. And I thought that that would kind of be sort of fun. So I decided to also punch out some squares of pattern paper. This is the plaid pattern paper. And so I thought I would punch out some of those orange squares as well as the plaid squares. I'm reaching for my Tombow mono glue, and all I'm doing is just using the page that I'd cut out just as a template to know where exactly to put the squares. And I put the glue through and then put the squares in for exact placement. Once that side was done, I thought I would repeat on the other side, and just to be a little bit different, I decided to put the opposite pattern down. So orange color on the right and the plaid color on the left. Same technique and same glue. So I've got to use this aqua glue up. I've had it for ages. Almost there, so I think I used it by the end of this project. So there we go. So I was really happy with that, but then sort of decided that I really should have painted before I did all this. So this just shows you how totally random these projects come to me. Like I start off with one element and then I get an idea halfway through, and whether or not I had pre-planned properly, that's just beside the point. So what I'm doing is I'm using the colors of the viruses to inspire the choice of paint. I've got a scrap of paper underneath so that I don't mess up the squares that I put down. And here I am trying really carefully not to cover the plaid. I grabbed one of the punch outs and just tried to cover around the plaid just to preserve the color. So the edges get a little bit colored, but you know, it's okay because I do worse later on. So this is just my art journal. Like, it's just a little bit of fun. I don't mind, I experiment with things, and if things don't work out, I try not to let it bother me. All I want to do is just do a project from start to finish. Some things I might like about the project, some things don't look so great, and some accidents happen, and I learn from some, and I learn from all, whether to repeat or not. So that's the peacock color from Dina Wakley Media. So the two colors that are left are red and orange, obviously because the orange squares were on the right hand side. That had to be the red page. So here I'm just doing the same thing, covering up the orange squares with the punched out square excess, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the page with red. This time I used the Americana paint. I have so much red paint. I have something like 6 tubes of red. I don't know why. Red's my favorite color. And last of all, this is the Dina Wakley Tangerine that came in my unboxing. I'm gonna add that on. This was the easiest one to add because, yeah, there was no squares to have to protect. So I just had my, I had a scrap piece of paper underneath, and yeah, I dried that up. Then all I had to do was sort of play with all the quotes that I had fussy cut. I ended up just choosing one of each of the quotes and putting them each on the square, and there was no specific order to how I chose things. I really just put them down depending on which way the quote was on which way the quote was pointing. So all the ones that were pointing to the left I put on the right hand side, and all the ones that were pointing to the right I put to the left, but then sometimes I changed it, so there was really no rhyme or reason. I'm reaching for my gold paint pen here. I don't like this. It sort of doesn't give a really good, maybe it doesn't go good over paint, I'm not sure. This is one of the gold pens I bought from Aldi. I sort of didn't like the look that it gave. It was kind of quite patchy. So I changed from gold to the black, and this is the Posca black, and this stuff is beautiful. It writes on paint really nicely. So I, yes, abandoned the gold and went with the black. So finished the black on the right hand side, then I went over what I did with the gold and went around each of the boxes here. Then I'm going to go around each of the speech bubbles and outline them as well. And then I'm going to repeat on the right hand side. Love how colorful this page is. This spread made me really happy. Sort of didn't know what I was doing still, and then I remembered all those viruses, and I thought, well, I should use the red viruses to outline the red pages, and the orange viruses to outline the orange page. So that's what I did. Grabbed my Tombow glue here, and I just dabbed a spot of glue on each of the red viruses, and I just went around the page, sticking them down. I made them go over the page just a little bit so that they had sort of like a flattish appearance. Just going back to the green page and adding the green viruses around the border there. I'm just chopping off the edges here. And then I grab my Posca, and I did a little bit of a squiggly ECG kind of mark there, so that looks good. And I'm then going to grab the orange ones and sort of do the same thing, roughly match them to where the reds were going. Once again, putting them over the edge so that I can create that flat look. Just allowing that glue to dry, so I'm going over to the other page now and adding the blue and the green viruses around the borders there. And then I continued this doodly line around from the red over to the orange. Love how that looks. And then for the blue and green page, I sort of did a little bit of a different doodle. I sort of made it look like a Pokeball. So we had a top doodle line and a bottom doodle line going around each of the viruses. So just something a little bit different. Same, but different. And there's something very meditative about making borders. I sort of have come to really enjoy it. So my pages, or the background to my pages, are now done, and it's time to think of the element or the focal element for each of the pages. I have this picture here of my son. He's wearing an orange shirt, which is his favorite color, so I put the photo on the orange spread because it sort of made sense. And I also have this quote that says, "I picked a heck of a time to have not learned how to cook for the past 29 years. So this is him cooking. My boys made a whole lot of bread and a whole lot of scones, a whole lot of muffins. So this is just a picture of one of his independent cooks. And I changed the 29 to 12 years because he's 12. And then I had this bunch of elements all to do with sanitizing, washing hands, and a little thing that says wash your hands. And you could take it as sort of a coronavirus sort of hand washing campaign thing. But I kind of was thinking more along the lines of wash your hands before you cook, and please sanitize after yourself, make sure that the workbench has been cleaned, because my goodness, you should see the mess they make. They used almost every single tool in the kitchen, and there's sugar everywhere and flour everywhere. And so I was always saying, please clean the kitchen. I'd come home from work and there's just a bomb gone off in the kitchen. And I did put down the bottom there that on the 15th of March in Australia, the hand washing campaign began. So I just wanted to document that. So it's kind of like a double meaning. I'm using my white Posca pen here and just going around each of the elements and doodling that. So that looks good. And then my son's shirt has like a little bit of black design, and I sort of kind of was emulating some of those, edgy, jagged designs, and it sort of kind of works. So just outlining everything and then just putting a little bit of white dots, and then I grab a small lid with some white paint. I go ahead and do my usual paint marks with the lids. I love that look. It kind of makes it look like bubbles, so I just add a few of those around the page. So now it's over onto the first spread, and I have another picture of my boys just lazing on the couch. And I grabbed this journal card. I love that picture. This is how my boys were all during, you're supposed to be online education. We hardly did any of that. They just quickly did their work and just were back on the couch watching and playing. So there's this journal card that says, the CDC says to prevent coronavirus, stay home, avoid physical contact, and don't go into large crowds. And I altered it from knitters to my kids who say, we've been training for this moment for our entire lives. And it sort of just seems that our lifestyle sort of wasn't hugely affected by staying indoors. We are an indoorsy sort of family. We do see friends and we do go outdoors. Like obviously in Australia, we weren't ordered to stay home. We could still go out and walk on the ocean and exercise and stuff like that. So that didn't change. But my boys don't really go to friends' homes. They sort of do their online gaming with their friends. So that didn't change. I mean, yes, a few friends didn't come over as much as they did, but the boys weren't, it wasn't drastic not having friends over. So I really like how this turned out, and I did go back in and add the paint marks, the white circle paint marks, just to fill in some of the blanks. And I did add a little bit of Posca marks as well. I used my black Posca marker to outline each of the quotes here. I think I stopped filming at about this point, so you don't see it, but I'll show you in the photos. I went around each of the words with Posca. And some words were different. Some of the designs were different on each of the words. So that is my two double page spread. I'm really liking this interactive feature in this journal, so I will carry it all the way through. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. How are you guys going with your pandemic memory journal? I hope you are documenting, and please feel free to take some of these ideas. I don't mind. It's just so much fun, and I can't wait to bring you more of what I have in mind. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.